And let's begin the news at this hour by telling you that Nigeria's former President Olusegun Obasanjo has thrown his weight behind a growing movement advocating for Nigeria to abandon the presidential system of government. Speaking at a meeting with 60 members of the House of Representatives in Abuja, Obasanjo noted the need for a governance model that caters to the unique needs of Nigerians. Obasanjo did not mince words as he criticized the Western-style democracy currently adopted by Nigeria, arguing that it has failed to deliver results even in its countries of origin. He urged lawmakers to seriously consider alternative systems, suggesting the adoption of what he termed Afro-democracy. During the meeting, Obasanjo cautioned against overly optimistic expectations, warning that rapid change might not be feasible. This call for reform comes at a critical time in Nigeria's political landscape, with citizens and leaders alike grappling with issues of governance and accountability. The All Progressives Congress in Igbotako Ward 2 Okitikpapu local government area of Ondo State has suspended the senator representing Ondo South, Jimoh Ibrahim. The senator was alleged to have been involved in anti-party activities. Now, this was contained in a statement signed on Wednesday by 29 executive members of the party, including the chairman and secretary in the ward, Adetokunbo Adetola and Shola Omotoye, respectively. The ESCOs in the statement titled APC suspends Senator Jimoh Ibrahim for longshore over insubordination and anti-party activities, said the decision was taken during the meeting of the executives. And now to Rivers State, where a new wave of resignations have hit the state government there. Of course, the state government is headed by Governor Siminalayi Fubara, as 5 more commissioners who are loyal to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, have resigned from the governor's cabinet. Those who resigned are Chinedu Umamo from the Ministry of Education, Gift Wolu from the Ministry of Housing, and Jacobson Nabina from the Ministry of Transport. Ineme Uguma also resigned as the Commissioner for Social Welfare and Rehabilitation, saying, quote, "There is no room for professional or progressional development in the workplace," end quote. Austin Ben Choma also resigned as the Commissioner for Environment, saying, quote, "Due to the political crisis befalling our dear River State and other personal reasons," end quote. And now joining us is a stakeholder from the Port Harcourt City Project, Tekena Bosi. Tekena, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you for joining us. How will the resignation of this 5 pro-Wike commissioners affect the ongoing and future policy initiatives by the current governor, and that's Governor Fubara's administration?
Well, firstly, good morning. I want to first and foremost applaud the governor for being a peace-loving man, for being a simple personality, because it's not been easy. And I would say this clearly and vividly, that the resignation of the commissioners wouldn't affect the government of His Excellency, Sir Siminalayi Fubara, in any way, because they were never loyal to the governor. They never participated in any government function, even when the government house protocol invites them, send invitations later to them for functions of His Excellency, they don't participate in it. So their resignation wouldn't affect the government of His Excellency in any way. Never. Yeah.
I mean, when one looks at this story and a wider scope, what comes to mind is, administrative stability, continuity, which is very important, and we've seen over time in the very entirety of Nigeria's democracy, or just the republic in and of itself, that continuity is a problem. What measures should be taken to ensure stability and, very importantly, continuity in the affected ministries following the commissioners of resignation is being upheld, to make sure this just administration is smooth?
Okay, so this is it. If truly the interest of Rivers people was the top priority of the commissioners that resigned, right, the crisis wouldn't have mattered to them. After the president intervened and the governor brought them back, they would have concentrated on their duties and tried to make sure that they deliver the dividends of democracy, which the president, our father, His Excellency, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, has intervened in the matter. So moving forward, I would advise His Excellency, the Governor of Rivers State, to go ahead, bring in new, fresh blood to do these duties which these people that have resigned couldn't do. Now, this is the time for delivering the dividends of democracy. This is the time for His Excellency to put his house together. Yes, now he has to go back to his books, try to put his house together, and bring in people that can do the work and bring peace and progress in the states. We need development in River State. His Excellency has been doing so well. He's commissioning projects. People say, oh, that he's been fighting and fighting. No. His Excellency has been commissioning and flagging up projects. Today, he's going up to commission a project in the Calabari Axis of River State. So this is the time to bring up new people that will build up the state and to bring the dividends of democracy back to River State.
Right. Let me ask about, the potential political ramification of things, right? Especially of these resignations, for Governor Fubara's government, especially in terms of legislative support and, coalition dynamics. Do you see any, fallout from this, any consequences, any ripple effect that would happen with these resignations?
No, there are no consequences that will happen with this resignation. The Rivers people are already with Governor Fubara. I want to go back to the issue of the 27 defected assembly members. They went to APC. They have problems with APC. I'll put it to Nigerians today. In River State as it is today, the APC has issues because the person claiming to be the chairman of APC is not the authentic chairman of the party. The authentic chairman of the party is Emeka Bekay. Someone from nowhere just brought into Nokosha to be the caretaker chairman of APC, which the 27 defector assembly members went to. So they cannot even come out today in River State to talk about anything. So River State is in one accord. There is no problem. The resignation of the commissioners won't affect anything in the state. All the governor has to do right now is to go back to his drawing board. Bring in fresh blood, new blood that would do the work that Rivers people need them to do.
Right.
That would be service to the states.
Right. I mean, in doing that as well, in sort of looking or poaching for the right talent to be able to take off this office, and this office has now been vacated. Another thing that, that is also in the questions of a number of people who are observing this is pretty much Fubara's administration and how they plan to take, to maintain public trust and confidence in the governance, or rather in the government ability to manage the crisis effectively, and also the entirety of, River State. What steps should that look like?
The River States, the environment is very peaceful. The people of River States believe so much in His Excellency, Sasimilaye Fubara. There's peace in the states, businesses are going on, and investors are coming in as well into the states. We see investors coming in every day into River States to do their businesses. Nothing is affected with the crisis. And I'll put this to the world today. His Excellency is doing the best job in Nigeria. He has won several awards. He has won the peace most peaceful governor award. So the state is very peaceful. Everybody should come together and support His Excellency Sasimilaye Fubara.
Tekana, many thanks. I appreciate you. Tekana, thank you so much. We appreciate you for coming on, Tekana. That's a heartfelt call there from Tekana Agbosi, stakeholder, a Port Harcourt, who just joined us live here to discuss all the ongoings going on in the River State government political scene. We'll move away from that now. This time to Nigeria's electoral body, where it says that it has published a final list of candidates for for the upcoming Edo State governorship election. Now, this was made known by the chairman of the commission during an engagement with the media in Abuja, where he also revealed that there will be no online registration of voters for the ongoing continuous voters registration exercise ahead of the Ondo and Edo State governorship polls. Amadin Uye reports.
It was an engagement with heads of media agencies and members of the INEC press corps as part of the commission's stakeholders engagement exercise. The chairman of the commission, while updating newsmen on the ongoing voters registration exercise ahead of the Edo and Ondo governorship polls, says that online registration has been suspended.
There will be no online pre-registration option because of time constraint. Each center will be managed by 2 officials drawn from our regular staff and the National Youth Service Corps scheme. In the next few days, the Commission will commence the training of at least 794 officials for the exercise.
He says that the Commission has made available the list of eligible candidates from the various political parties for the September 20 Edo State governorship poll and revealed that campaigns for the elections will end on the eve of the poll.
The Commission has published the final list of candidates for Edo following the conclusion of party primaries and the end of the period for withdrawal and substitution of candidates as provided in the timetable and schedule of activities for the election. Campaign in public by political parties commenced on Wednesday, 24th April 2024 and will end at midnight on Thursday, 19th September 2024.
The National Secretary of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, who spoke on behalf of the media, assured the Commission that the media will live up to its responsibilities and urge voters to participate in the upcoming elections.
Just as we have done in all elections, we shall try to create the right environment, the right atmosphere to ensure that our people will be motivated enough to come out to exercise their franchise. Because ultimately, it's about the well-being and the wellness and the progress of our great Nigerian nation.
The chairman also informed eligible voters in the 2 states who have not collected their permanent voters' cards that the ongoing registration exercise presents an opportunity to visit the Commission's offices to collect it. He, however, warns that no card will be collected by proxy. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amandine Uyi.
The acting executive secretary of the National Universities Commission, Chris Miyaki, says the federal government is working to reconstitute the governing councils of universities. He revealed this to education reporters in Abuja on Wednesday, and he noted that the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, had in place a panel to work on the list. The NUC executive secretary said the councils would be inaugurated once the list was consummated. His remarks come as a response to the 2-week ultimatum issued by the Academic Staff Union of Universities to the government to reconstitute the governing councils of federal universities. Speaking on the number of universities in the country, the NUC boss said the commission was committed to expanding access to higher education. As of April 2024, Nigeria's headline inflation rate increased to 33.69% from 33.20% recorded in March of 2024. Now, this shows that in comparison to March 2024, the headline inflation rate for April 2024 increased by 0.49% points in April of 2024, and the headline inflation rate was 11.47% points higher year-on-year than it was in April 2023 at 22.22%. Now, this illustrates how the headline inflation rate increased between April of 2023 and April of 2024. In addition, April 2024's headline inflation rate was 2.29% on a month-over-month basis and 0.73% less than March 2024's rate of 3.02%. Now, this suggests that the average price level in April 2024 will increase at a slower rate than it did in March of 2024. And now to discuss this, I'm joined by investment research analyst at Maristem Securities Limited, and that is Felicia Owolokwe. Felicia, a very good morning to you. Let's get started very quickly, right? So many analysts, have they've anticipated nothing less than, 34%. But let me get your reaction to the figures we're seeing. 33.69% rate. What was your expectation? And then do you think that we've done well in April?
Like you mentioned, yeah, experts expected inflation to hover around 34%. Personally, we projected inflation to come in at 34.43% for April 2024. And this is because we consider the different factors like the celebration of the Eid Fitr, the end of the Muslims fast that we had in April, and the fact that, typically during festive periods, the demand for products and prices generally increases, and it just fits into the prices of these goods and services. But I mean, I would say it's a good development that we saw inflation coming at a slower pace. We also expected this, 34%, 34.43%, because towards the end of April, we saw the hike in, transportation costs due to the fuel scarcity that happened towards the end of the month, and transportation costs surged. People had to buy fuel for as high as 1,500, 1,000 naira, different prices across the country, really. And we just expected, all this to, feed into the prices of goods and services and to actually impact inflation figures for April. But inflation came in at the 3.69%, and I would say, of course, like you mentioned, that just shows that the prices of goods and services increased at a slower pace compared to what we saw, in previous months. But like you mentioned also, we saw that month-on-month inflation actually moderated. And I mean, that sort of shows that average prices are beginning to, increase at a slower pace. And we're probably going to, it just means that prices are just increasing slower now compared to what we've been seeing.
So Felicia, Felicia, does this mean that there's a call for celebration then? I mean, a slower pace, the prices are still increasing, even though it's slow, from March to April.
Exactly.
So does that mean, is that a call for celebration?
No, so I wouldn't say it's a call for celebration because, like you mentioned, prices are still increasing. We're just beginning to see a slowdown in the rate of increase, and it's a welcome development. It's a good thing for us. This inflation would, will be a better thing. If we begin to see prices actually, moderate, that would mean that, people are actually going to be seeing respite in the high inflationary pressure that the country has been seeing for a while.
Right. Go ahead.
I was going to say this signifies like the 16th consecutive month of inflation increase, and a moderation would be a good thing for Nigerians generally, I would say.
Right. Now, earlier on when you were answering my first question, you were talking about some of the contributing factors as to what we've seen, and one of them was also the increase of petrol, which is where they were buying at pump price that increased significantly due to black market sales and the scarcity of it. Right. But what other factors do you think was responsible for this increase we've seen from month on month?
I mean, also during the month we saw the electricity, tariff hike that that was implemented, and those are the things that just figure they feed into the operational cost of businesses and companies, and of course this will impact the prices of their goods and services, and that is how it translates to higher prices of these goods and services in the country. So of course we also saw that the naira depreciated further, although the naira did not go as high as the 1,600 that we saw in March. We saw the naira go depreciate by around 6% by the end of April, to around 1,400, levels. And those are things that actually feed into the prices. So we also saw that the planting season that, started earlier this year, and, pricing of crops like maize, they just, when it's planting season, we don't see as much supply of some of these items, and these are things that feed into the supply part or the supply aspect of food items. And seeing that the food inflation or the food component is a major contributor to our headline inflation. Those are, all these factors put together, what we've seen, give us this the 3.69% inflation rate that we saw in April 2024.
Right. Let's move beyond this, right, and talk about, so beyond the slow pace of increase, what Nigerians want is actual deceleration, whether we like it or not. Now, do you see that happening anytime soon?
Okay, so yeah, a disinflation would be nice because a disinflation would be that we're beginning to see a slowdown. A deflation would be that if prices of goods and services are not rising again and they're actually falling. And I don't think we'll be seeing that anytime soon. However, I would say we might start to see disinflation, which is the prices of these goods and services would begin to increase at a slower pace, and our inflation figures might start to moderate. I think we might start to see that by June, July 2024. And of course, we attribute that to the fact that the high base effect of last year, when we saw that by the jump in inflation figures between May, June, July last year was really significant, and that just puts last year figures at already high levels. And so when you now calculate the year-on-year changes, even if prices are still increasing, we might begin to see year-on-year changes start to moderate, towards June, July.
Right. Well, many thanks, Felicia. I appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Move away now from Nigeria's economy. And Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has commissioned several key gas projects expected to improve domestic gas supply in the country and the nation's energy sector. President Tinubu, during the virtual commissioning of the projects from the State House in Abuja, says that they will help Nigeria achieve its gas objectives and create employment opportunities for youths. Amadi Uyi reports.
It was the virtual commissioning of 3 key gas projects by President Bola Tinubu.
The 3 milestone projects, which includes the expansion of the AHL gas processing plant, the ANO gas processing plant, and the 23 kilometers ANO to Obiafu, Obrikum, Oben, OB3, custody transfer metering station gas pipeline project.
These gas infrastructure projects mark a significant milestone in our nation's journey towards energy sustainability and economic prosperity. They represent a renewal of hope in our collective efforts to business the potentials of natural gas and to build a brighter future for generations to come.
President Tinubu says that the projects will accelerate the development of gas infrastructure in the country, improve the supply of energy expected to boost the nation's quest for industrialization.
This event is highly significant in our country and demonstrates the administration's determination to accelerate the development of critical gas infrastructure geared at demonstrably enhancing the supply of energy to boost the industrial growth and create employment opportunity and further prosperity for our people.
He adds that the projects will also improve domestic gas supply in the country.
Approximately 500 million standard cubic feet of gas in aggregate will be supplied to the domestic market from these 2 gas processing plants, representing over 25% incremental growth in our domestic gas supply.
President Tinubu says that the projects will also support efforts aimed at creating employment opportunities for citizens. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
And on to security matters. Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has called for more efforts in tracking terrorist funding trail in a bid to cut the supply line of illicit financial flows which funds criminal groups. The anti-graft agency made this known at a multi-stakeholders dialogue aimed at preventing terrorism financing and ending violent extremism in the northeastern part of the country. News Central's Joshua Imarai completes the story.
In a bid to combat the growing threat of terrorism, security experts, intelligence officials, and stakeholders converge on the nation's capital to brainstorm on strategies for preventing terrorism financing and violent extremism in Nigeria. The high-level meeting was prompted following growing concerns over the funding of terrorist activities, which have wreaked havoc on the northeast region in recent years.
So many times people come to me to say, Mr. Milayi, you are a Nigerian. How come you people put Nigeria on a grey list? I always respond, we did not put Nigeria on a grey list. It's neither Java nor the FATF, but Nigeria put herself on the grey list.
In March alone, 2024, the federal government naming 15 entities, including 9 individual and 6 bureau de change operators and firms that are said to be involved in terrorism financing, has highlighted the pressing issue of terrorism and terrorist financing in our country.
Stakeholders urge citizens to join forces in combating terrorism financing, stressing that Nigeria's cooperation with law enforcement agencies is crucial to winning the war.
The collaboration of every sector represented here is crucial. By combining our strengths, enhancing transparency, and enforcing regulatory frameworks, we can sever the lifelines that enable terrorism.
If 4 out of every 5 Nigerians can stand for what we are here for today, in 6 months, we will nip this thing in the bud. We must not leave this responsibility to the military and to the law enforcement alone. In addition to the activities of the not-for-profit, we have also realized that there are some of these young men that they use to launder money now. Of course, some of you are aware of our activities in the area of investigating, virtual currency trading, cryptocurrency, and all of that. There are also potential platforms to fund terrorism, and a lot of us don't understand that.
While some argue that global terrorism poses a persistent threat to many, stakeholders here say that cutting off the resources of terrorist groups can effectively end the menace. They advocate for a multifaceted approach combining kinetic and non-kinetic methods to depriving terrorists of their resources. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
A 17-man implementation committee has been inaugurated as part of efforts to restore peace in Bassa local government area of Plateau State, north-central Nigeria. The inauguration took place at 3 Armored Division Maxwell Kobe Cantonment, Rukaba. News Central's Chizoba Anionwe reports.
This is about the 3rd time an implementation committee such as this has been inaugurated, after a 36-man joint committee in September 2021 and a 26-man implementation committee, which was later increased to 55. The search for peace did not end there, as another 17-man implementation committee was again set up for the same cause. This committee did not yield the desired results and as such was dissolved, giving birth to yet another 17-man committee that was inaugurated today, all in a bid to restore elusive peace to the once home of peace and tourism.
I, Major General A.E. Abubakar, do hereby inaugurate you as the 17-man implementation committee.
The General Officer commanding 3 Armored Division of the Nigerian Army is optimistic that this committee will yield the desired results.
It is expedient for us to retrospect on how we have fared and how, even after 2 decades, we are still living in hostility. This, therefore, underscores the importance of this implementation committee.
The state governor represented at the event commended the efforts of the GOC, assuring that his administration will stop at nothing in supporting the committee to achieve its goals.
He said I should tell you, you are doing well, you have done well for Plateau State, you have done well for Nigeria. This is a step in the right direction.
The new committee seems resolute and determined to accomplish the reasons behind its establishment.
Assuring you, we are going to discharge this task with all our heart, without bias, without sentiment, without religion, background. If I discover my committee that will sabotage my effort, I will resign, because I believe on unity.
This committee, made up of 16 men and 1 woman, has till the end of August to submit their findings to the GOC. In Just for News Central, Chizoba Anionwe.
The news continues in West Africa, where Gambians in the capital, Banjul, have expressed joy over the decision by Swiss court to sentence ex-Gambian Interior Minister Usman Sonko to 20 years in prison for crimes against humanity committed under the regime of former dictator Yahya Jammeh. They say the conviction of Usman Sonko showed everybody and the world that impunity has no borders. Sonko is the highest-ranking official convicted in Europe under universal jurisdiction for the most serious crimes. According to a court statement, Sonko was found guilty of multiple counts of intentional homicide, multiple counts of torture, and false imprisonment, each as a crime against humanity committed between 2000 and 2016.
Use of international jurisdiction as a principle of justice to get those that are fleeing from justice in their origin countries is one that is remarkable, and we're seeing it taking effect in the most beautiful ways, in the most favorable ways, especially for us as Gambians and as advocates for justice for the crimes that have happened over the span of 22 years. So it's definitely a welcome move, and we hope to see more of them.
Yeah, my take on the conviction of Usman Sonko is actually a relief for Gambians, especially the victims, and it is a signal that justice is actually coming on the way for victims. It actually shows that, you know, wherever you are, the long arm of justice will definitely have to, you know, reach out to you and do the needful. So the conviction of Usman Sonko today is actually a limelight sort of to Gambians, okay? So in everybody that and the world at large that, you know, impunity have no borders.
Convicting him after the trial, which was so, you know, rigorous, and I felt like the wrath of the law was what exactly felt on him, and it was justice. And justice is not there to favor one party or the other. It's just there to reveal and give what.
In East Africa, Sudanese and international In East Africa, Sudanese and international non-governmental organizations have urged Sudan's armed forces and rival paramilitaries to end collective punishment and restore life-saving telecommunications as war rages in the country. According to a statement signed by 94 NGOs, including Access Now, the Norwegian Refugee Council, and the International Rescue Committee, indiscriminate attacks and disruption of communications by warring parties have severely affected civilians' ability to cope with the effects of the war, as well as aid workers' capacity to deliver essential services. It added that both sides have consistently used targeted attacks on telecommunication infrastructure or the imposition of bureaucracy restrictions, leaving millions of Sudanese without access to support networks to survive what the United Nations has called, quote, one of the worst humanitarian crises in recent memory, end quote. They called on both sides to ensure the uninterrupted provision of telecommunication services in Sudan and facilitate the rehabilitation of damaged systems. And in North Africa, a Tunisian court on Wednesday ordered 2 journalists to be remanded in custody until the completion of investigations into critical comments, a spokesperson for the tribunal said. The tribunal spokesperson, Mohamed Zintona, disclosed that broadcaster Bohan Bias and political commentator Murad Zangidi were arrested Saturday under a decree criminalizing, quote, spreading false information, end quote, among other charges. He added that Zangini is being investigated over social media statements last February and a post in support of Mohamed Bougaba, another journalist and critic of President Kais Saied, who has been detained separately. Meanwhile, Bias was arrested on accusations of, quote, having harmed President Kais Saied through radio broadcasts and statements, end quote, online between 2019 and 2022, according to his lawyer, Nazar Ayad. Their trial is set to begin on May 22nd, according to their lawyers. And on to South Africa, where a wanted criminal who was out on bail have been shot and killed by police who was linked to 29 cases of theft and hijacking. According to the police multidisciplinary team consisting of the South African Police Service counterintelligence teams and private security followed up on investigation about the deceased and traced him to the highway where a shootout happened. The man was linked to the kidnapping of a 68-year-old businessman who later died in the custody of his kidnappers. The suspect was found in possession of the victim's belongings. His accomplices in the kidnapping case are being sought by police. Russia has voiced outrage at an effort in the United Nations to create an international day for the commemoration of the Srebrenica genocide. Russia's UN ambassador Vasily Nabinzer told the Security Council accused Western backers of the draft resolution, which would be considered in the General Assembly and not the Security Council, where Russia holds veto power, of unnecessarily, quote, unopening or reopening old wounds of civil war, end quote. Bosnia Serb forces captured Srebrenica, a UN-protected enclave at the time, on July 11, 1995, a few months before the end of Bosnia's bloody civil war, which also approximately killed 100,000 people.
Видимо, ему недостаточно одного инструмента для разжигания раздора в ВИК господина Шмидта. Важно и разбередить старые раны гражданской войны и поощрить действия части палестинских элит в нарушение Дейтона. На этом фоне вполне логично и оттого еще более аморально выглядят попытки членов НАТО вымороть из страниц истории позорные свидетельства своих бомбардировок бывшей Югославии 1995 и 1999 годов, переложив всю вину на сербов. Наши западные коллеги отказываются обсуждать в Совете Безопасности свои совершенные 25 лет назад преступления, поскольку они, дескать, являются лишь страницей в истории.
For humanity, it will be significant that the UN General Assembly adopts a resolution on reflection and commemoration the Srebrenica genocide 1995. This resolution is of the highest importance for spreading the truth and awareness about genocide committed against Bosniaks. It is an important civilizational step forward in the fight for the truth and justice.
Hamas's Doha-based leader, Ismail Haniyeh, condemned the actions of the Israeli army, particularly its assault on the southern Gazan city of Rafah. Haniyeh asserted that these actions have thrown the fate of the ceasefire negotiations into uncertainty. Haniyeh's remark come on the heels of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's assertion that there is no humanitarian catastrophe in Rafah, despite reports of hundreds of thousands fleeing the city amid heavy fighting. Tensions remain high as both sides engage in a war of words, with the international community closely watching the situation. Nigeria Super Eagles and Bayern Leverkusen's forward Victor Boniface has been named Rookie Player of the Year in Germany. The Nigerian international joined the German side last summer after a successful stint at the Belgian Jupiler League side Union Saint-Gilloise. The 23-year-old lass has so far scored 13 goals and assisted 8 goals at Bayern, secured the Bundesliga's title, and might do so without losing any single game if the new champions beat Augsburg in their final league match on Saturday. Boniface has already won the monthly edition of the Rookie Award 4 times this season, winning the overall campaign's Rookie of the Year award, crowned the incredible performance of the Akure-born player for Bayern Leverkusen this season. Host Black Starlights of Ghana have got their campaign off to a perfect with a dominant 5-1 win against Cote d'Ivoire in the opening game of the 2024 WAFA Zone B Under-17 Championship on Wednesday. A brace from Joseph Narbi and a goal each from Godfred Strankboff and Javi Bafa, as well as Mark Kangawa, secured the win in Group A. Narbi gave the Black Starlets the lead after 27 minutes and got his side's second 3 minutes to the break. Sakbo added the third goal with a perfect volley moment after the break. Cote d'Ivoire pulled a goal, but I take that again, apologies. Cote d'Ivoire pulled a goal back, but Bafa headed home Ghana's fourth before Gagawa made it 5-1. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has called for overhauling of Nigeria's system of government. Gambians hail Swiss court's jailing of ex-minister. Tunisia remands journalists arrested over comments. Now remember that you can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on your screen. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV.